Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Lorraine Murphy Show. Now this week I am starting something that I haven't done before in the show. I've got a 4-part series. So what I have designed is 4 episodes which are going to take you across the 4 different pillars that I believe are absolutely fundamental to the success of any entrepreneur. So the 4 pillars are energy. We're also going to focus on strategy, mindset, and identity. So this week, I am going to start by talking about energy. And if I was to actually pick one of the 4 pillars, it might actually surprise you. I think in the past, I would have thought that, okay, if I thought those 4 pillars, which one would be the most important? It would probably be strategy, because that's what tells you what you're going to do next. I feel like I've come full circle over the last 6 to 7 years in business, particularly from the deep work that I do with female entrepreneurs. And I would actually say that energy is the number 1 pillar. And I'm going to talk you through why I believe that to be true in this week's episode. It is so incredibly fundamental. I often say to my mentees that their energy is the electricity that their business runs off. So if we are pumping amazing, high vibe, high quality energy into our business, then our businesses will flourish. If we are pumping flat, exhausted, resentful, tired, drained energy into our businesses, well, that's the kind of business, that's the kind of energy that our business is going to run off. So when we are good, our businesses are good. It's almost like this anecdotal rule that I have experienced in my own business for sure, but also with so many of my mentees as well. So in today's episode, I really want to step you through what does it look like, or what would it look like if your energy was your number 1 KPI in your business in 2026. And really thinking about this, this energy, it is not a side note. Your energy is the main game. And as I talk to you about it right now, I'm just thinking it's almost this circular process that we create, because when our energy is good, our business is really, really good, which helps us feel even more good. And it's just this beautiful flywheel of positive, high energy that sees everyone, you succeed, but everyone around you succeed as well. So first of all, I want to touch on, how does energy show up in your business? Because there's obviously there's the obvious one, like, well, if you're really tired and you're exhausted and you're resentful and cranky, that's the energy you're going to bring to everyone and everything within your business. However, I think it's actually more nuanced than that. So the first area that you will see energy affect your business is your decision making. So if you are, you're contracted energy, you're feeling stressed, you're feeling tired, the decisions you make are going to be similar. I don't need you to tell, you don't need me to tell you, when you are feeling optimistic and excited and encouraged and motivated and all of the things, you make very, very different decisions to when you are feeling exhausted, depleted, resentful, tired, stressed, and so on. So when we can really nurture our energy for ourselves, obviously, but also for the benefit of our businesses, it improves our decision making tenfold. We start to make decisions from an expansive energy, which results in having a really powerful strategy and incredible results as well. The second area that you're going to see it showing up is marketing. So if we are feeling depleted, it's a real like a pushing, a forcing, I'm showing up because I have to type of energy. If we are feeling energized, that's magnetic. So many women tell me the main reason they seek me out to mentor them is they really like my energy and they want to be around that energy and they want more of that energy for themselves. So when you are showing up in your marketing, whether it's in your written word on LinkedIn posts, if it's on videos on your Insta story or YouTube or podcast, whatever you have, that becomes really magnetic. The energy that you are putting out there is palpable on a conscious level and people want to be around that. It draws people in. It's so incredibly magnetic. The third area that you're going to see it, and it's kind of linked to my marketing point, but it's a slightly different one, is visibility. So when our energy is low in our businesses, we don't want to show up. The idea when you are in absolute survival mode because you're stressed about cash flow, you're dealing with a team situation, or the phone hasn't rung for a couple of months and you're feeling really, really stressed about your pipeline, When we are in that space, we are in survival mode. We are not in the zone to show up and do a podcast episode or to show up and do some Insta Reels. It places it, that low energy puts us very much in survival mode. I was talking to a mentee about it just recently, and I was saying to her, it's almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When we are in survival mode within business, the last thing we want to do is show up and be, happy clappy online, or happy clappy to host an event or a free masterclass or whatever it might be. So this is another reason to really focus on your energy within 2026, because when your energy is good, you've got ample energy to show up and do, today I'm recording 6 podcast episodes as I'm recording this. I need energy to do that. If I am coming in here fatigued and I haven't slept well for a couple of weeks and everything feels like it's just in shambles around me, I cannot show up, and I will not show up. And I think this is something really important to acknowledge as well. And I may be wrong on this, but I find if I am having a tough day or a tough week, I find it almost impossible to show up and do the Instacoms. Like, I find it very, very difficult. And I know that some people don't experience that. They can just click into it and they're on. I'm not one of those people. I find it really, really challenging. So that is the extra why I need to be very, very mindful of my energy, because I need to show up. I've got a business that is a personal brand business. It's very much built on my energy and my know-how and my savviness. I need to be able to show up and share that with my community, and obviously with my mentees as well. The other area that you're going to see it show up is in your leadership. So when you are feeling disconnected from yourself because your energy is low or it's compromised in some way, that then affects your team trust, it affects your ability to delegate, and it affects your communication style with your team. There's something called leader energy, and my husband Wade taught me about it. So when I met him, he was in the army, and he was an officer. He's an infantry officer in the army, and at the time I was a very middling to low rung manager, and I was really struggling with management and leadership because I'd had a pretty stressful experience out in London before I moved to Australia, and my faith in myself as a leader was very, very low. So Wade taught me a lot about leadership, and most of probably what I know about leadership I learned from him. And something he taught me about is leader energy. So it means that if you are the leader of a team or the leader of a group or the leader of a family, you by default, you get 20% more energy than the rest of your team. So this is often why when I'm talking to mentees and they're saying, the team's really tired, they're really exhausted, they're burning out, what's going on? I feel fine. And I have to remind them again about the concept of leader energy. They, as the leader, are automatically getting 20% more energy than the team. So again, this is another reason for you to really focus in and hone in on your energy this year, because when you are showing up with the energy that you want to as a leader, you're well ahead of your team. You've got that 20%, and you can carry them and you can guide them and you can pull them along on the journey with you. It is so incredibly important for a leader to be energetic. And it's not to say that they need to be jumping around doing aerobics and doing split squats every 5 seconds. It's not that kind of energy. It's a groundedness and a solidness in themselves, and an ability to be resourceful and to be resilient, if I was to define it very, very loosely and as part of this episode. The other area that energy is going to show up massively in your business is the area of money. So someone who is rested, is energized, is feeling clear, is feeling motivated, they are going to make very, very different decisions and judgment calls around money than someone who is exhausted and depleted and stressed and kind of slipping into that kind of desperation, scarcity mindset. So it's very, very important to be mindful of the fact that your pricing and your selling and how you do that is a direct result and a direct reflection. It's almost like the mirror image of your energy. So if, for example, in 2026, you want to review your pricing, you want to call in higher paying clients, you want to create a new top tier revenue stream within your business, you want to have some potentially challenging conversations about rate reviews with existing clients, all of that is going to be underpinned by your energy. So I'm hoping I'm convincing you here that energy isn't just about being able to show up and tick off your to-do list every day. It shows up in every area of your business. And of course, we're not even talking about life here. We're not talking about parenting and intimacy with our partners and physical health and all of the things. So just trust me, focus on your energy this year. And I want to share with you, just some examples of how I manage my energy. So I know I do talk about energy management a lot, but I wanted to really summarize this and give you a bit of a flavor of what I'm talking about. Because for some of you, you may be listening going, oh, I've never thought about having an energy management plan. Maybe what would that look like? So I'm here to help and give you some ideas of, from my own world as to how I do this. So the first thing I'm very mindful of is that energy rhythms, they're not just weekly. They're daily, they're weekly, they're monthly, they're quarterly, they're annually. So I find it very, very helpful to think about, okay, what do I need on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, quarterly, annually, in order to feel supported in my energy. And to give you an example, so on a daily basis, I need my nourishing morning routine. Spacious, quiet, the kids stay in bed, morning routine. So for me, that looks like a meditation. So I did 10 minutes this morning. I had more time yesterday morning. I did 20 minutes. It is having my lemon drink. It's pulling my oracle card. It's moving my body. So my preference is to go for a walk every morning and then do strength or yoga later on in the day. So that's that daily rhythm. And there's obviously annual rhythm, like doing a really beautiful, my goal every year is to do one big retreat, like a week-long retreat, and then do a shorter one, which is a weekend, and spread that quite evenly out through the year. I really want you to think about that daily balance, and that daily nourishment is almost as important as the big annual splurge of energy management. Your 3 weeks on the beach in Noosa, for example, because it's almost building in that preventative measures every single day. And in doing that, you're almost priming yourself for your day and supporting yourself for your day as well. So really think about those energy rhythms, that it's not just a daily thing, it's not just an annual thing, it's right through that whole kind of annual flow. I also really like, there's little rituals that I feel really reflect and support my own kind of internal rhythms. So as examples, I've always shared with you my slow morning. For me, there is something really energy enhancing about being in homemaker mode. And it's not the homemaker mode of trying to get 2 kids out the door in the morning with their water bottles and their hats and their sunscreen on and their lunches and their library books and all of that. It's not that homemaking energy, because I don't find that super nourishing. But it's the homemaking energy of a Saturday morning when Wade goes up to the markets to get all our produce for the week, and I'm at home and I make pancake for the kids and I reset the laundry. And I mean, oh my gosh, my office is an absolute disaster zone as I'm recording this episode, because I've pretty much been mentoring most days this week. I've been doing podcasts today. So by the end of Friday evening, it's a Friday today as I'm recording this, yeah, my office is just going to be full of outfits and crystals and candles and colored pens and all of the things that I've needed for this week. So I really love that Saturday morning of just resetting the space, and because I find it's a really lovely reset for my energy as well. The other thing I really, really love doing is making a big Sunday roast for us on a Sunday afternoon. And I don't cook a huge amount now during the week because, I probably cook one meal during the week. We've got our incredible housekeeper, Annie, who does some food prep for us during the week. So I really love cooking on a Sunday. One of myself and Lexi's goals for this year is to try a new dessert every week. So we tried this incredible dark chocolate and pear custard last week. It was so good. I actually want to make it again this week. We're like, no, we need to try a new one. So having that time at home to be in homemaker mode really energizes me as well. There's also, of course, doing, my yoga on a Sunday morning. I find really beautiful. Having really quality time with Wade where we feel really emotionally and physically really connected. I love that. It's incredibly restorative for me and energizing for me. So there's so many different ways that you can boost your energy and support your energy. If this is an area that you do want to explore more, I talk a lot about energy management in my 4th book, which is called Step Into You. It's available on Spotify. If you're a Spotify premium member, you can listen to it for free. You can also get the print book as well and listen to it online or on Kindle as well. So in that, I break down a lot around energy management, particularly around the difference between masculine energy and feminine energy, and how you can find your way more into feminine energy as well. Something that I felt really, really important to note in this whole conversation with you today around energy is the importance of the relationships and the people that you are surrounded by. I feel that often energy management can get translated through to all the nice things that you put in, the bath bombs or the time at the sauna or the time to read and all that. And that's completely valid, and I subscribe to all of it. However, we also need to think about almost the flip side as what is draining our energy, and are there people around us who are draining our energy? When I run my Bali retreat, I take the group through an energy management. There's a whole workshop. We spend 3 hours going through energy management on day 2. We do that workshop. And the reason I do that workshop is, well, obviously I find energy incredibly important. Energy management is so important. But I really want to activate in their brains the idea of, yes, it's all the stuff that you put in is really, really important. But equally, it's almost like all those drains and those leaks are just as important to plug them up and deal with them, because as long as they're there, no matter how much you put in to your energy, it's going to be zapped, it's going to be sapped out and leaked out at the bottom. So think about having, who are those intentional relationships around you, being really mindful of who you spend your time with. And let's just call it out. There's some people who are going to really feed your energy, and there are going to be some people who really drain your energy. And having that, almost that energy discernment, is so incredibly important. And I guess as an aside from that, if we think about boundaries can be time protection, of course, about who you choose to spend time with, who you don't choose to spend time with, or what you are not available for this year versus what you have been available for in the past. So yes, they're around time protection, but it's also around protecting your energy and looking after, your beautiful heart and your beautiful energy, because there's so much goodness that you get to go and create for yourself and also for those around you. So that has been a huge lesson for me in terms of energy management, is tuning into myself and asking, how am I feeling when I come home from being with this person? How do I feel? And if on an ongoing basis I'm feeling drained or exhausted, then that's a relationship that I really want to think about and think, is that something that I want to continue on with? In terms of the mistakes that I see women making with their energy, so I am very, very fortunate. I get pretty much an all access pass to so many women's lives, being their mentor. Not just, we focus a lot on business, but we also focus a lot personally as well. So the mistakes that I see women making, particularly female founders, because that's the bulk of my community. First of all, it's treating rest as a reward. Like, I will get to rest once I have done X, Y, Z. Once my to-do list is done, then I will have some time to rest. It's never all done, ever. So I really invite them, rather than seeing rest as this kind of gold star that they get to earn for themselves, it's instead seeing it as a requirement for them. It's the infrastructure, it's the source energy that enables them to show up and do all the incredible things that they want to do within their lives and also their businesses. The second thing that I see women make a mistake with when it comes to energy is skipping self-care, or refilling their tank, looking after themselves, whatever language you want to put in it, when the business gets busy. When things pick up a notch and there's more required of them in the business, or personally, I will also say as well, that at that point then they're like, oh, well, I don't have time to look after myself. I'll deal with that when everything quietens down. And that is the recipe for burnout, that when you're actually in peak delivery mode or peak performance mode, and you don't have that recovery time to enable you to show up in that peak mode, that's when we start to get, we get sick, we start to feel really exhausted, we start to experience, whatever health problems maybe, and then potentially leading into burnout as well. So it's not an easy thing to do when things are really full on. So this week I've had a really full on week. So I've had 2 back-to-back VIP days with my top tier mentees, and I'm recording podcasts all day today. It's school holidays. Wade is in the middle of a massive deal. It's a lot. It's a lot this week, being really honest with you. However, I have still made sure that I've meditated most days. I didn't meditate one morning. I've moved my body every day, even if it was just a 20-30 minute walk, just to get my energy going in the morning. I've journaled every evening. I've looked after myself and supported having a really good night's sleep every night. This is when you need the tools. It's not, the in-betweens when everything's pretty cruisy and spacious. It's when you're in full-on weeks like I'm in this week, that's when you really need the tools. And maybe the tools need to get tweaked a little bit. For example, my walk got shortened. My gym sessions are going to have to catch up on an extra one over the weekend. But I still moved every day. There was still a simple intention to support myself and look after my energy every day. The third thing I've seen is women outsourcing their energy source, so where they're actually getting that energy from, to coffee, to sugar, just chaos, just having craziness, which kind of keeps them in that adrenalized state, and or external validation, getting that energy from someone else's approval or, so someone else's validation, essentially. So I really need you to understand this as part of this week's episode, that your energy, it's generated within you. There's no one else that can generate your own energy. So wherever you can, it's creating that energy yourself, whether it's through exercise or it's great sleep or it's nourishing food or whatever it might be. And there's something I've noticed in myself, and I've had a few mentees comment on it too, and I'm curious to know if it's something you listening have experienced as well, is when I am feeling quite adrenalized. So let's say I have a day of like zipping around the city, going to lots of different meetings. I have a coffee in the morning, and then for some crazy reason I decide to have a coffee again at lunchtime. Maybe I have some dark chocolate, like 90% dark chocolate. So I'm just fucking wired, basically. I have found when I am in that state, I'm almost actively seeking more things that will keep me in that state, whether it's the sugar or it's the caffeine or it's, obsessively checking emails or it's scrolling Instagram. It's like I'm in that adrenalized state and I'm just grabbing everything to keep me in that state. So it's something to be really, really mindful of, because again, it's almost like we get on this treadmill and we can't get off it, we can't stop. So I've learned to be quite aware of where my body's at, where's my energy at, and if I am feeling that kind of wired feeling, okay, what are the things I need to do to bring myself back to center? So just breathing. It's a really basic one that I forget to do when I'm highly adrenalized. I've got a device that I adore, which I haven't really talked too much about, but it's called a Healy device. If you're watching, I'm just flashing it up on screen here. So it's a little bioresonance device. It's got a lot of different programs on there, but I'll often run a program if I'm feeling that wired feeling. I will run like a program around like balance or relax or just kind of getting back into myself, essentially. Also just time outside. If I'm feeling that tired and wired feeling, I felt it recently. I was in my business club for the day and I had different Zoom sessions and in-person mentoring and like chatting to people around the club, and it was so lovely, but I was feeling a bit jittery. So I just went for a walk for 15 minutes. I had a gap between my next mentoring session and I just took myself for a walk around the city. So even just having that little 15-minute reset, move my body, get some fresh air, some sunlight on my eyeballs, made such a difference. The other one, which I've mentioned actually in a recent podcast episode, it's sprinting that marathon. It's going at full pace for the entire year. So really inviting you to break your year down into sprints rather than pushing yourself so hard for an entire marathon. Yeah, essentially, if you think about it, it's like it's short-term effort at the expense of your long-term sustainability. So any way that you can pace yourself better is going to enable you to have a much more spacious and a much more sustainable life and business as well. Now, the last one that I see women making with their energy is prioritizing other people's energy over their own. And I'm just going to call it out. This is especially prevalent for those of us who are mums. I will often see that, women give their energy to their children, understandably, because we adore them and they're the absolute center of our worlds. However, if it's on an ongoing basis, you feel like you are sacrificing your energy at the expense of the kids, I think it's a really good invitation to explore, okay, what's going on there and how can I support myself better? Is there a need that I need to meet better for myself or ask someone else to meet for me? So we are very sensitive to energy as women. Our whole, fundamental makeup it's all about, others and harmony and nurturing connection and community and family and all of the things. So it stands to reason that if someone is out of whack around us, whether it's our partner, it's our parents, or it's our friends, or our neighbors, or our kids, that we want to fix that for them because we love them and we care about them. We want to get everyone back to that harmony and that beautiful homeostasis of the family unit or the group unit, whatever it might be. Again, it's so done to death, but the oxygen mask analogy, we need to first put our own oxygen masks on before we can support others. And this is something that we spend a lot of time actually talking about on my Bali retreat, about how do you nourish and protect your energy regardless of the people that you have around you in your world, because it's so easy. My kinesiologist Jackie calls it surrogating. It's so easy to surrogate our energy to someone else that we care about, coming from a place of, love and compassion and care for that person. So if this is all quite new to you, and I've taken a lot of my mentees on this journey to understanding their energy better and supporting their energy better. One of them who was so, this was a very new space for her, and we started working together about 5 years ago. And she'll still say now, she'll go, "Oh, I sound all like you, but it's just about the energy." And every time she said, I'm like, yes, I brought you over to the dark side. So good. So some really simple tips I want to give you if this is new for you. As I said, please do check out my book, Step Into You, because there's a lot. I think there's 2 or 3 chapters specifically on energy management in that one. Something I love to do, and it's the reason I love to do it is it helps me tune into myself. It kind of cultivates that practice of, okay, where's your energy at? What do you need? What's going on? But also it's a way of allowing my energy to guide my steps forward. So something I will do if I'm trying to make a decision, whether it is I'm on a meeting with my operations manager, Sam, and we're talking about my calendar in a couple of months' time, and she's saying, okay, would it be okay if I put this in on that day? It means you're going to have quite a full week. Is that okay? So something I will do is I'll just close my eyes, just take a deep breath, come back to myself, and I will ask myself, does it feel expansive? Or does it feel like I'm contracting when I think of that? So when I visualize my calendar with that particular event in there, do I feel like, this is expanding and spacious? Or do I feel like, I'm already stressed thinking about it? And I will be led by that. And it means that when that event rolls around, or maybe it doesn't because we've chosen to put it somewhere else, I'm leading from a place of prioritizing my energy first and foremost. And I will also do it if we're looking at holiday plans. So at the moment, as I mentioned, we're planning this trip at the end of this year, and I'll say, okay, does it feel expansive or contracted to go in that direction? Does it feel expansive or contracted to go and have a week with these people, or whatever it might be? And I find it incredibly helpful. So that is one practice that I would really invite you to weave into your everyday life. And I find it's a really great one because the more you practice it, the easier it becomes and the more tuned in you get. So asking yourself, is this expansive? Or is it contracted? And I've found now, because I've been doing this for a few years now, that I can almost do it immediately. Like I don't even realize I've done the check, and I go, oh yeah, I made that decision. It was because I realized actually that feels quite contracting and stressful. I don't want that. So my goal is always to move in the direction of expansiveness, spaciousness, sustainability, abundant energy, essentially, which is where that expansive energy leads me every time. The second thing you can do is kind of similar practice, but a bit of a check-in ritual. What's draining you? What's sustaining me right now? And I have done this in the past, where I've drawn a line down the middle of my page of my Remarkable. You can use a notebook if that's your preferred note-taking equipment. And I've done on the right-hand side, okay, these are all the things that are draining me, so a minus. And on the left-hand side, these are all the things that are really energizing me. You don't have to go and change the world as a result of that exercise, but it just starts to give you some little small nudges in the direction of a more energized you. The third thing I want to say, and I think this is especially key for women, is to tune into cycles. So whether it's your hormonal cycle, it's seasonal, energetic, your business works better when it respects your inner world. So as a small example, something I really love to do is to try, it doesn't happen all the time, but is try as much as possible. If I have very social weeks where I'm out mentoring or I'm hosting events or we've got the Bold Darling quarterly planning day, as much as possible, I will try and lead that more towards the ovulation stage of my cycle, because I know in that stage I'm like the social butterfly. Like I just want to be out with the people, having a great time, wearing hot little outfits, wearing my heels, like it's a vibe. So it's really honoring that, whereas the week before the last week of my cycle, it's more of a kind of cozy up energy. It's a time to do some writing, batch some content, tweak some strategy. So that's just a small example. How can you honor the cycles and the seasons within your life and your business as well? And, we do have very distinct seasons. I remember the season of having Wilder, and he was a lockdown baby. And for the first 2 years, it just felt like I was at a very different pace to my normal pace. And when I weaned him at 14 months, this whole new season opened up of I had more energy, I got into weightlifting. It just felt like I just had a lot more space and a lot more me. It's like I was back to being me, and I adored breastfeeding him. I adored carrying him. there was just it was more about me, and I guess a bit more sovereignty maybe is a good way to describe it. And then even a year ago when he was fully toilet trained, that felt like our last baby stage, because the pram was gone, the nappies were gone, the naps were gone. It just felt like we'd entered this new season as a family, and for me as a mum. And again, that unlocked a whole other level for me last year. So it's really honoring those different life seasons that you're in and not wishing things to be different when you were in them, which I know is a lot easier said than done. Another thing, and this is just a really simple one, but sometimes it can feel like one of the hardest things to do, is to care for your physical body. You know, your physical body is it's the container for your energy. It's how you generate your energy and you express your energy. So just those absolute boring basics like sleeping, you know, nourishing yourself with really good food, moving your body every day in a way that feels nourishing and sustaining to you. And I think something that's really important, and this is a whole journey that we go on in my Bali retreat as well, your body is constantly talking to you, constantly communicating where it's at, what it needs, and as a result, where you are at. And our healer, Jimmy, in Bali says that, and he subscribes to Louise Hay's philosophy, every physical ailment that you have, every mental symptom that you have, is a result of some kind of a limiting belief or negative emotion that you are carrying. So when you can almost use your body as almost like the telegram for what might be going on, and get down to the root of what's going on and heal that, it unlocks so much energy for you to move forward. And there's a reason that when women come to the Bali retreat and through the whole 6 days of, you know, activities and healings and meditation and my workshops and just space to rest and sip a coconut by the pool and so much fun, they say to me, I feel so much lighter after these 6 days. And that's the reason, you know, they've shifted so much of the stuff that's almost physically weighing them down and weighing their energy down, that they step into this lighter, brighter, abundantly energized person. It's magic. It really is magic seeing women. The difference from day 1 to day 6 in Bali. I wish I could bottle it up and share it with you. It's really, really incredible. So it's really about, as much as possible, listening to those little whispers that your body is giving you so that you can act on them, and before they ladder up to being something, you know, more serious and more uncomfortable for you. So it's a new practice for quite a few women, and it's one that I really love guiding women on as well. So for you right now, in terms of, I guess, actions from this podcast, I would really invite you to think about, you know, what is expansive for you in 2026. If you think about what's coming up for you over the next 11 months or so, what is feeling expansive for you this year, and what is feeling quite contracted for you? And asking yourself, you know, are there some small tweaks, are there some small changes that you can do in order to create more space for you and to amplify that beautiful energy of yours? Because, you know, the world needs it. It needs your incredible energy. So as a last reminder, please, if there's just one thing I want to have landed with you as part of this week's episode, it's that energy is not a luxury. It is an absolute strategy for you to go and create whatever the hell you want to create in your life and also in your business. And it is absolutely the electricity of your business. When you are energized, your business has a power, it's got a pulse, it's got possibility, and it has got so much prosperity as well. It's like a one-way path to having a business you absolutely adore and that you deserve as well. So really inviting you, as my closing comment in this week's episode, is to reframe energy for you this year as, you know, what would it look like if your energy was your North Star this year? And of course, we're going to talk about the other 3 metrics for having a successful business in the rest of this 4-part series as well. I do just want to say, if Bali is calling you, I am taking another group of women to Bali. It's happening the first week of June. As I'm recording this, it's half full already, so we've just got a handful of spots left. So I would really love to host you and welcome you into that magical world of relaxation, recharging, fun, clarity, energy. It's just incredible. So If you would like to join us in Bali, I would heartily welcome you with arms open to come and join us. I will pop a link in the show notes for the retreat so you have that. And I'm excited to support you on your energy management journey throughout 2026. So stay tuned. I've got the next installment of this 4-part series coming up for you on the show next week. Thank you so much again for joining me on the show this week, and I'll see you again next week.